Hello, Dr. Mehta.
Hello.
So, Dr. Mehta, Dr. Yatin Mehta is the chairman for Institute of Critical Care and Anesthesiology in Medanta Hospital, Gurgaon. And we are going to talk to him regarding the novel coronavirus and the common FAQs that are coming in people's mind and common man's life. So, Dr. Mehta, first of all, I'll take you a little in the past, in the third week of March, when some 14 Italians were admitted in Medanta. That time, nobody had a clue what this virus is, what is the cure. So, you were the one in the team who treated them successfully and sent them back to Italy. How was it like? If you just want to share that experience, like what was it like at that time?
See, at that time, the world really knew very little about how to manage these patients also. Also regarding the SOPs of the wearing the PPE, how to wear it, where to take it out, how to have isolation of the patients, how to separate them from the mixed ICUs and mixed wards which we have. Nothing was really well described. If you look at the ICMR recommendations also, they have also evolved over a period of time. So this was all learning phase of the disease. The therapies also changed over the period of time, but so we had to do with what we had that time. So I was given exactly 1 day, half a day actually. I was told at around 9 or 10 o'clock that the government is sending these 14 patients who are in the ITBP healthcare center and they can't manage it if you can take care. So within those 10 hours, we had to manage all the SOPs and the staffing and how to have dedicated lifts and how to have the supply chain and how to. And there was a lot of fear among the nursing and staff and the medical staff also. So I had to motivate them. I told them, look, I'm much older than all of you. I'll be the first one to receive these patients. So that is how it was. And slowly things got better. Initially, there was a lot of fear. People were not happy to look after these patients. No, these similar stories happened when we had HIV 30 years back, because there was no treatment at that point of time. And even now, the treatment for COVID is quite limited, actually. So that is how. And fortunately, staff is getting better. We have better equipment now to deal with it. So that's how it was.
Doctor, when you receive patients right now currently at Medanta, when you do a background search, what do you find most common? How have they received the virus? It's a close contact, it's a material contact. What type of cases are most common right now?
See, initially there was always either a close contact or travel. Initially, it began with international travel, and then obviously close contact. Healthcare workers also, the incidence is fairly high. So we have a system of contact tracing in our hospital. Somebody turns positive, then we trace everybody who's been exposed to that particular person. But let me be honest now, I think the incidence has increased so much. So these are all technical discussion, whether it is a community transmission or it is not community transmission. I mean, there's a high incidence. So we presume we have a high degree of suspicion. Anybody comes with fever with a respiratory symptoms, we have a high degree of suspicion.
Doctor, some people are easy to find it very easy to sail through the virus. Some people find it very difficult. They'll have inflammations, lung disorders. Like, how do you characterize? Is it just the age, just the immune? What type of how can you bifurcate these two cases?
You see, there are certain clinical demographic parameters. Like if the patient is older, patients with diabetes, patients with pre-existent lung disease, patients on steroids, or immunocompromised patients who had some transplant surgery or some rheumatic disease for which they've been taking steroids, poorly controlled diabetes, high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, male sex. These all are risk factors for getting disease. Obese patients, fatter guys are more prone to have serious problems. So these are the known patient characteristics which will give you a warning sign that these are the patients who are at higher risk. You will treat them with kit gloves. Then there are certain biochemical parameters or certain investigation, like you see on the X-ray chest or a CT scan, you see multiple lung lesions in both the fields of the lungs, extensive. then obviously this patient is likely to get into trouble. If the patient on biochemical markers, there are certain biochemical markers, the blood test when you send, you find that the patient's certain levels are higher, like a D dimer is high, ferritin is high, C-reactive protein or CRP is high, and the neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio. Now, the blood, if you look at it, the blood has red cells and white cells. White cells are basically of three types. The important ones are neutrophils, which is segmented nucleus, and the lymphocyte, which is only one. The ratio of neutrophil to lymphocyte also determines. So the ratio is more than 2.5 or 3, for which I have published a paper, then the risk of mortality is higher. So these are the things which only a doctor will be able to interpret. But as I said, the earlier risk factors, the public can also see that they are at high.
Doctor, earlier virus was showing symptoms like fever, cold, respiratory disorders. Right now, in modern trends, we have got to know people have difficulty in tasting, like they don't get to know the taste, they are not able to smell properly. So do you think the virus is mutating, the virus is getting stronger? Like how is it justified?
No, see, these symptoms were there earlier, but probably not detected because the number of patients were not so many.
Okay.
So these newer things which you're adding are not because of the mutation of the virus. It is the characteristic of the virus. The virus attacks the nerves also. So when it affects the olfactory nerve, the nasal, which was smell, sense of smell goes. When it affects the nerves which take the taste, sense of taste from the tongue to the brain, then that is a taste sensation. So these are the two symptoms. But I think my warning is that don't panic. It affects every system of the body. So if you get a bit of loose motion, that doesn't mean that you have COVID. I think I want to tell people is COVID is not the only disease which you have in India.
Exactly.
I mean, there are many other diseases. So anybody who gets any symptom, you have to not to rush to get a COVID test done. I mean, then we will just saturate the systems and unnecessarily expose yourself to other infected patients if you go in that flu clinic. So I think one has to be sensible.
The more damage it is causing to the body, I think the more than that, the damage is being caused to psychology. The other day, my Arogya Setu app just became red, and I just got scared. Like I started calling my family, so panicking. So I think more of psychology. If we stay positive, even if it happens, we'll just deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Doctor,
most of the young patients like you, nothing will happen if you get it also.
Thank you. Doctor, in villages, they are said that immune system is very strong of people from villages, from rural areas, that compared to the city people. Now, when you receive cases, like have you received the same type of observation in hospitals also, like less number of cases from the villages, higher number of cases from the urban areas?
No, that is true, but how much is it is attributable to the fitness of the patient or the accessibility of the healthcare system? I can't comment on that. But it's a given that not only the other things, the environment is cleaner, the social distancing may be more in rural setting because the spaces are a little more. Yes. People in Dharavi or in slums of Delhi, how do you have social distancing? So there is more congestion. So more likely that you may be exposed if you are staying in that sort of an area. Also, accessibility of hospitals is more in the urban area. But at the moment, as it stands, I think rural India has much less, significantly less incidence than urban area. Yes.
My second last question to you, doctor, is that after all this pandemic ends, when every single thing is done, it's over, when we have a vaccine or whatever solution is there, do you see a considerable change with respect to government's interest or private interest on the medical research of India?
Yes. I think suddenly everybody seems to have woken up, not only to the inadequate facilities in India, which we had, and healthcare over generations, the governments have been spending insignificant percentage of GDP on the healthcare. So that awareness has come to the government also. Also make in India, not only the pharmaceuticals. We were only taking salt from China and making it into the drugs, but now we are going to give a significant impetus to our own pharmaceutical industry. Manufacturer of PPE, no PPE was being made. Also diagnostics kits and all are now being manufactured in India. So that awareness has also come. Not only that, availability of ventilators, the ICU, significance of ICU, and also the doctors earlier were punching bags for all the TV channels. Oh, how much money we make, how much we are robbing the patients, we are better. That has changed, fortunately. Now people are realizing that we are the ones, healthcare workers are the ones who are facing the heat. Some of us have had major pay cuts in the private industry, healthcare industry, and still we are taking care of these patients. We are supporting the public, we are supporting the government. So that also has improved. I think so. It's been that way. Long term, it will be beneficial effect on the Indian healthcare industry.
I think people will start taking the research point of view very seriously after that. Like, yes, medical research is something. Earlier, people never used to pay heed to scientists and all those people. But yeah, doctor, till when it is going to go? Like, they have told, every government is saying that we have to start living with corona. Like, but there has to be a time, right? Like measles, rubella, polio, they all had this particular phase. But at the end of the day, after years of struggle, we got a vaccine. So, what is the ultimate solution for this? Like, when are we going to?
See, I am only a doctor. I'm neither an astrologer, not a
Into the research
TV
point of
anchor.
view, what's going on in the bag?
What I think is, what I get the impression is, I think 6 to 8 months a vaccine will come. Now, what is going to be, how effective it is going to be, I can't predict. But even if it is effective in 60-70% of the patients, that's good enough. 2/3 of the population you get vaccinated, protected. Also, I think within another, by next year, we should get some specific treatments also established, which is a better therapy. At the moment, it is just randomly by hit and trial method we are doing what we have to do. And some herd immunity, or you can call it whatever, the public who are exposed will have antibodies. And I think the incidence will settle down. The disease will not never go. Like swine flu came, it killed so many patients in the first couple of years. But then it is settled down. We do get seasonal swine flu. We get few patients, less patients die, and we are ready for it now. So I think similar when next year, I think we should be better. So better days will prevail next year.
Doctor, from our channel, what message do you want people to know? As a doctor's perspective, what things do you want to say?
See, again, I would emphasize doctors are doing what they have to do, but social distancing and masking, I think, are very important in hand hygiene. The three things which, if the public takes care of, I think we will be better off. This is what was not done in many parts of the US, and that is why they got into so much of trouble. So if you maintain social distancing, hand hygiene and masking, you will be by and large all right, and look after your general health. Maintain your fitness level, maintain your nutritional level, sleep well. These are the things which will protect you.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta, for this time. I know you have a very busy schedule, and I wish you best of luck. And please stay safe, because you are there. As a journalist, we are at a distance, but you are there on the war zone. So please take care of yourself. And I hope that you and your advanced technology of Medanta Hospital and the whole Corona warriors will make us pass through this difficult phase of Corona. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Rahul. Have a good day.